Good morning, sunshines. Today is going to be an incredibly powerful practice that I hope as you join us, you are going to see that you can let go of some of the anger, animosity, blame, hate, just negative emotions that are in your heart. And I really hope you stick around because this can be a more challenging conversation because it's something we often just don't want to think about. And sometimes we actually just want to be mad. And that's your choice, of course, but acknowledging that your chosen anger and negative energy is going to continue to bring you things to be mad about. If you're focusing on the mad and the anger, life is going to keep giving you things to be angry and mad about. It's the way the law of attraction works, right? We don't question the law of gravity. Let's not question the law of attraction. This is the way that it works. And it's magically healing relationships. Often our anger or negative emotions can stem from a broken relationship. Take a look at your life and things that have really gotten you worked up. And it might come back to a person, whether that's a broken work relationship or a dissolved partnership, a person who just like maybe it's a friend who ended up showing up a certain way in your life that did not make you feel good or happy. And I think one of the things I see most often is broken, like actual like partner relationships, physical partner relationships, whether that's marriages or people that have been dating, parents, and now they're divorced with children, and really how they just have this internal fire, burning anger towards the other human. And well, let's just hear what Buddha has to say with that from that. Holding on to anger is like grasping a hot coal with the intent of throwing it at someone else. You are the one who gets burned. That statement hits so hard. Hopefully, for a lot of people out there, you do realize the anger and blame and aggression and jealousy and hate that you're holding. The only person that that's hurting is you. It's hurting you on a day-to-day basis. It's making you show up to life a certain way, and it's attracting other negative things into your world. Because if you're choosing anger and bitterness and hate and jealousy, the world's going to keep serving it to you because that's what you're asking for by focusing on it. And I stress this so much because I've seen so many people before in my life and in the programs that I offer who are, it's like they're almost there. They're almost to this point of joy and happiness, but then they allow, which is hard to take, right? They allow for that emotion to run their lives. And while they decide that's going to be the way that they show up, things are not going to change for you. So I feel like this lesson of healing your relationships is, I'd say everyone is the most important, but I feel like this is very important for you to move forward in your world. And I'm not talking about forgiveness necessarily. I'm talking about healing internally so that you can move on, letting go of the hot coal in your hand, because let's face it, you're not going to be able to hit them with it. Whatever you're feeling, you cannot displace those feelings onto them. They will never feel what you're feeling. So stop feeling them. How do we do that? And this is a really incredible practice, especially when you can allow yourself again to take the time to complete it. When you're healing your relationship, we're going to do like everything else we have done with Rhonda Byrne's magic practice. We're going to say thank you. And we're not going to say thank you for things that are in their room, like you're really having a difficult time with your ex husband or wife who's has shared time with the kids. That I'm going to go with that one because an ex spouse is just, I feel like, so pertinent and relative, and 50% of the people are divorced and they carry a lot of that anger. So you're carrying around that piece of it, right? And when you're upset with them and we're doing this gratitude practice, you're not going to say, okay, I'm grateful for water. I'm grateful for my apple. I'm grateful for my feet that work. You're going to do that because you're doing the other practices, but you're actually going to share and dive into why you are grateful for that person, that broken relationship. Maybe it's the intention is to mend the relationship. That's great. Maybe it's not. Maybe you know that they do not belong in your world anymore and you are in a different chapter. Awesome, but still harboring that anger is not going to allow for you to move forward. So healing the relationship by going through this practice of figuring out what you are grateful for about them specifically is a really big deal. And this, don't worry, you don't have to share this with them. Like, you're like, I'm not making a list. I'm not telling my ex all of these different things. Get it. I'm clear on that. You're not trying to deliver them a bouquet of roses and this beautiful gift right now. Maybe down the road, who knows? You'll be like so developed that you will. Right now, you're trying to just heal yourself. When you're healing a broken relationship, it comes back to healing what's inside of you. So, given this situation, you're going to think about a relationship that's broken in your world. Start with one. One's going to be enough of a challenge today. As you get better at this, you can do more, but think of something that feels broken, a relationship that's broken in your world, and you're going to actually write down 10 things that you are grateful for about that person. Now, if the relationship has ended, a lot of those things are probably going to be about your past. Maybe it's when you first met, it's how they showed up then. You don't excuse the good things of the beginning because of the way things ended. If you're going to be like, okay, I'm so grateful that he was so nice and took me on these lovely dates when we first started dating, but then he stopped taking my dates and then he was dating someone else. That's not going to work. You're not going into the future. You don't get to go into the other side of what you don't like about the human or what actions they took that you don't agree with. You're simply going into what you appreciated about them at any point in your journey without connection of the whatever you're not happy about. And you're going to say it. This is really powerful. You're going to say it to their name. Like, you're actually going to use their name when you are going through this. Don't skip that part because that's going to connect you to the person and releasing whatever's happening internally. And I am going to use her example because it is about a broken relationship. And I think that it's some things that could help. Like, you right now, you're like, I cannot give any thanks for that human. They did nothing for me. Like, I have nothing but pure sourness, bitterness, spit, venom. Okay, we're going to move beyond that. I'm going to help you. So here's Rhonda's list, and she's writing to a Paul, whoever this Paul is. Insert name here of your person. Paul, I'm grateful for blank. She's going to do 10 of these. Paul, I'm grateful for our time together. While our marriage did end, I learned a lot. I am so much wiser today, and I use what I learned from our marriage in many of my relationships now. Paul, I am grateful for everything you did to try and make our marriage work because 10 years of marriage means you did try. Stayed long enough to try. Paul, I'm grateful to you for our children. The joy I receive from the everyday could not be without you. Pause there real quick. If anything, if you're having a really difficult time with this one, to think about the children that they gave you if you guys have kids. If you can just focus on that, when you see this person, when you cross paths with them, when you think about them, they gave you those little beings that your world would not be the same without. And without that specific person and their contribution towards the creation of your children, those kids would not be here. Just that alone, and to have that love in your heart, will shift the way you approach a lot of things, them, your kids, and just your life in general and what you're attracting. Number 4, here she is. Paul, I'm grateful to you for the hard work and long hours you put in to support our family while I was at home taking care of our children. It was a big responsibility to have all of us dependent on you. So thank you. And some of these might not be like, well, my person, my Paul didn't do that. Okay, then don't use that one, right? You're digging your own gratitude, road path right now. Paul, I am grateful to you for the precious moments I had with our children as they grew up. I got to see our children talk and walk for the first time, And I know you didn't have that opportunity always. Paul, I'm grateful for your support when I went through a difficult time of grief and loss. Paul, I am grateful to you for the times when I was sick and you did your best to take care of me and the kids. Paul, I'm grateful for the great times we had, and we did have many. Paul, I'm grateful that you want to continue to be the father of our children. Paul, I'm grateful for your support and the time you want to give our children. I know they mean as much to you as they do to me. Now, that's an example, but you can see how there might be a lot of other things that was going on with Paul and this person. A lot of other things that maybe don't make you feel so warm and fuzzy. But instead, they're diving into what they do appreciate about them. Now, that doesn't mean that her and Paul are like, okay, let's work, let's make this work. That's not what this means. This means that whoever it is gets to let go of the hot burning coal that's in their hand so that they can move forward in their life. Because when you have a sour, angry, bitter heart, you're going to carry that into the next relationship, whatever that is. You're going to carry it into the next friendship, the next business partnership, the next physical relationship. We have to heal ourselves and learn to let go in order to move on as our brightest and best selves. And throughout your life, you are going to continue to face broken relationships. That's the way the world works. Do you remember when you first started dating someone? You're in that honeymoon stage and nothing ever went wrong. And then you started to fight and argue, and you realized that that was a good thing, not a bad thing, because you weren't showing up as a false, expectation of what they wanted. You're showing up as yourself, and you realize that you're not exactly the same, and it's okay to have things to work on and work through. Relationships, most relationships have ups and downs, peaks and valleys. And in the valleys, when we're there and we're like, it's just a little bit rough. Maybe you don't have any of these like super broken relationships, but it's a little bit rough right now. You're in a bit of a valley, in a ditch, if you will. When you start to focus on those things that you love about the person, you can mend that and bring it back to what you wanted it to be. You realize why you love them. And we talked this back about relationships before in a previous a lesson about how we can't change people. We can choose to love them for who they are, or we can choose to move on. Either is fine, but we can choose to hold on to the anger and the venom around the situation, but that's not benefiting anyone. And I especially think about this when kids are involved and they're watching you guys. They're watching everything that you do. They watch how you show up. They watch how you talk. They watch how you emotionally carry yourself. They hear when you're talking shit about that person. And when they hear that, they think it's okay to do that in their own lives. You speaking into the littles around you, whether you're directly doing it or indirectly, they're picking up on it. You're molding the way they're going to show up to relationships in the future. And you're also giving them an energy that's going to attract that same energy back to them. So if they see their parent, mom or dad, angry, bitter, talking shit, there's some bad news bears out there, things that people do, and they see that, that's the same energy they're going to carry into the next relationships they have, likely because they're not old enough to make definitive practices like this a part of their lives. Maybe someday they'll start making their own choices, and they'll break that um hereditary, I forget the word, it's not going to come to me. But they'll break that pattern that you have been creating. But right now, if they're tiny, they're going to be duplicating whatever words you have coming out of your mouth. So when you choose to heal the relationships, acknowledge that you are truly healing yourself and allowing yourself to move forward, whether that's to come back together or to move on. And you're also providing an example for the people in your life to see a better way of doing life. And finally, when you choose this different type of energy, you're going to start attracting more good in your world. You're going to attract a positive relationship, a positive partnership, a joyful, partnership. And that's a pretty damn beautiful thing. So, magically healing relationships is an intense practice that can make and create big waves in your world if you choose to take it on. And I really hope that you do. And if you have multiple relationships that you want to work on, maybe you're going to do one of these every day for a while. And if you're really sour about a human, you might have to go through that list of 10 things every day for 365 days. Just keep connecting. You're about to do the kid drop off and you're starting to lose your shit. You go back through the list, take a deep breath, and you show up as a different person. Huge. All right. We are booking it through these magical practices. I am just going to give you guys a high five. I don't know what that is, blue on my hand. High five for your continued persistence in your personal growth and making the choice to follow along with these lessons. I can't wait to see how your relationships start to take a shift. If you see something, feel free to message me. Like I said, I've been getting all sorts of feedback about this, and I'm really excited to see everything that you guys are going through. Thank you, thank you, thank you to Rhonda, the creator of The Secret and The Magic and The Greatest Secret and all of these different apps and beautiful things that she has put together for us to be able to utilize so we can step into our greatest selves. That's the real magician here is Rhonda. I appreciate you guys. I love you guys. Always reminding you that perspective reveals